So the point is, it is very important to have an overall understanding of the basic framework of the Buddhist path.
다음에 강사 깬데 레트젠라 거라 다 담아 수세지 더네 그러면다 또버지야 되는데 용그래 달라 강사 거전스를 그래 다 담바 지공도 쳐봐이나 담바 용서로 거와 쳐봐 더네 아니 냠네 지기이나 담바 지전세야 되긴 노단 tum부 좋은 띠야
So of course there could be an individual circumstances where some individual practitioners may have residual karmic forces, being brought from the previous lives, and then, in a sense, they are connecting with what is, moving on from already a certain stage. In which case, a very specific instruction from an experienced guru or a master may be an appropriate approach. But generally, for most practitioners, it is better to approach from the basis of having an overall understanding of the structure of the Buddhist path and then engaging in specific practices on that basis.
Then next, Kagyü. Kagyü lineage mainly come from Naropa. At the Lama Marba, or Tibetan, he received teaching from many Indian masters, and particularly his sort of was the Madhyamaka philosophy is concerned from Mitripa. So very clear, the Mitripa is the holder of the Chandrakirti's view, like that. Then the Kagyü Chakya Chambul, Sunuzane, Chakya Chambula, Giluli Chakya Sunguyare. That is Chakya Donga Nietzsche. Dochangbe on the Chakya Chambul. This all in the Umedal Kungoshigare. 다가다가 자기 시사지 동아 되네서 대용이야래 최용이야래 단 투모모인 버디 나그 외세다 되네 나로 추르고 난게 외세 거야도가 다 대다 다 대냠니 자야 될라 아니 자기 전부사 마음무드라서 들이
So
다 조조디 뉴멀 현지집에 로티니 다 내종고 게임이야래
So one of the key teachings of the Kagyü tradition is the Mahamudra teachings, and although Mahamudra teachings can be found also in the Gelug school as well, but in Kagyü teachings, Mahamudra is the essential instruction. And when we speak of the term Mahamudra or the Great Seal, this can be applied in the context of sutra teachings and also in the Vajrayana tantric teachings. When it is used in the sutra context, then Mahamudra refers to meditation on emptiness, particularly emptiness. And however, in the Kagyü teachings, when the term Mahamudra is used, it's being used in this Vajrayana sense, where the key point is to really utilize the innate mind of clear light into a realization of the nature of mind. And so the emphasis is really on the cultivation and development and also a realization of this innate mind of clear light.
다전에 사자 브로바네 마규니 네 다는 유한다 사자 남제 소야데 다 데뷔 다 규디 상하가 다 냠는디 깨도 기념시도 제네 다 수도가 제니 다 능순 유순스 자 능순 사야되기 노람지 숨겨야래 나 용문배 나와 마타배 나와 되는 내줘버려 답을 나와 송샤 나와서 디 냠네 나라 다 안데 얘기하는데 님의 안다 년도 랑게 장심 디디 냠네 나다 단디 상대요 다전에 뒤에 오버 요가 디디 미스 순둥케다 말셰 다전에 nga lamegi da ma anu atisa da de chodi da ande saye de songyun de ene gyusum sen da na lamegi kan ro de do wa lamegi da de na ga chu sa re gyusum se de de dagi an da sangdu kan de long cha ya de re gyugyu tabgyu debyus 다 규숨 세바 세안디 다다 시기 말하자로 예예바 다 저번집에 죽네 아니 리버군도 상보스 송샤야 단디 야 냠니 정당 도스면 용도 가버래 어디 스탠드 저리야 도스다 도스면 용구지 이내다 강모 법서디 사회 터두기 내디 집버리샤 제니 또 규규 대 뭐서 냠욕도 하는 거 없이 다 될래야 되도와 아도 사행송이 뭐예요 똑본 것이 손점수 어세 규미쳐도 잘했어야지 다 될래야 군시 규규了 아니 질 남도라 차라 니체 다 차라 니스체 남도 참무티 디안데 이시체야 말에 제니다 나란조다 똑본 것이 산성 수세하게 나도 거기 창신 공백을 이나야 거기 창신의 기록 창신 공백을 찍버리 냐라 ngande기 재미주스 아니 마음바에 마음배 제절 제 동배 의미수스 다들에 그 나르게 참바디에 바까 천유기 즉 똑똑디에 바 결모 조세 마음배 남도 찾고 막 가서 바까지 다들 쉐바 소마 맞춰봐 대가 가나 산이로다 조서셔제 제윤도 남도 참으실래 되겠다 또 참으지 또 차라니 있어야 또 참으서 들지 거래 다 저번 침배야 리버군도 상보병 어떠든 어쩌베이나 얘는 추구사지 송야지 요래 근시다 추구 현지야지 다 안데 대안의 현지기에서 말해 지단달로 또 차와지냐 그래서 달로 대강도 로 네트 체체 네트 체니 제베이나 안다 자베르 비치 측송내대 나리야 해대와로 상탈에 제송돼야 돼 다 안데 셈 해대 줘야 돼 셈 해대 줘세 남도시나 각 개벽에 껴를 못 주시네 다들 쉐바 소마 맞춰봐 재미 정중 효과를 도시하지 다 디간에 아니 일본 모처야 조진이나 일본 모처야 나디 진로 파보 쓴다 간다 지 진로든 저 단에 아니 일본 모처야지 다 연구해야 돼 다 안들디 근시 규규 뭐 소용도잖아요. 다 어디는 셈 차와. 다들 누구 현지집에 사람도 말해 돼. 이내다 왜세 디릭디날 내고 보다. 대안도 조진날이야. 리버도 릭셔니체. 루브르 셈디도 사mol로 릭셔체. 가자. 루브르 셈디디 리베 째체. 리베 째나 용서로라. 다 루브르 쉐바 사mol로 리베 째체. 리베 째려 돼. 근데 인도산에 리베자데 참자로래야 릭셰 켜져. 근데 인도산에 리벌이야 뭐르고 시르고 세지르고 되는 먹고 속도 와. 자, 다른 가서 루브르에 독서 뭔도 줄심배 겁라야 대탐자로 리베자레 샤드베 스타인도산에 대다라 릭셰 켜져. 릭셰 켜져 인도 난조베 라 유민등의 냠용부터 하네 녀몽도 주변 내걸래 녀몽기 거라 지기 난 진단적인 녀몽을 쳐그래 된데보다 녀몽지 민노적인 녀몽사디 민노적인 녀몽사도 깨인르잖아요 그 미베 제수 민장와 녀몽 대개 정신 터도 왜세 뒤가려야 로파 네트 체제 다 진배 제수 민장와 뇽을 현지 개베 랑당지 인신제라 코란게 정신 터도 뇽을 현지 개베 랑운 텔레야 저 정수로 심버지도 대베이나 아니 뇽모 마바 나수 탁세야 될 내용도가 이게 되셔 라라고 야말다 나 도스체니 또 디는 진짜 안 된디 해대 셈줘야 다대 다네 아니 가사 주디 야라 군시 규규 라바 남도 참문디 뭐시비체 다 티니 아니 난조도 깨는도잖아요 시규 람규 디세베소 셔서 텔라 제주기 추금 마제샤네 요르잖아요 기술 세베소 시면 되게 인주 상하 라미 지상 학계 인도산에 돈이 더 손을 하셔와서送不와 양걸 하버는 정도 나 라미기 돈이 더 손을 하셔서 전에 돈이 똑지게 로데 라버루브르 로데 마임바 님을 해지게 왜세 또 왜래 관에 왜세 뭐 쓰잖아요 실시 장배 고엔 저거 말해 왜세가 넘바 로리에 샤워체네 된대기 세 님을 해지게 티 동번이 가서다 똑바로 매니 디니 신나가 나버려 샤데 버지 저도와 자 진리인데 돈이도 손을 할 샤르셔야 돼 유도 오메가 그 손다데다 라메가 손다데 맨다 차티샤 단다데 맨다래 자다 도디님부 님을 해지게 왜서 코레가로 산드는 거도와 학계에 그도네 다데네 림베기 조림기 똑바 야 레이드산에 다 롱숨을 내두는데 다 저롱 틀리를 내두는데 냠는데 때네 루브르에 셈디디마 팔라샤 팀 아니 지성기 루브르에 셈디마 가서 우리 그게 액티브 매버 샵에 서지 아니 차에 롱숨디디 액티브야 차야지 그것도 되게 좋아 다들 조진 걸리나 라보 루브에 롱숨디 숙천문고도 주변 내가 올라야 릭셰 캡도 여배 있는데 냠용게 심바 있나 릭베 못 쳐야지 릭베 랑소 쓰면야지 송겨야래 다 안다 상하 살매가 올라이나 왜세 땅바 하베 내가 대당 루브르에 셈던 데베 내가 릭베디 전에 무슨체 루브르에 셈디데 가베 지 릭베디 송 왜세 디송 어제 인도산에 저런 틀리 냠내들이 응원을 로가 되네 이 말에 저다 뜻이면
사실
사제한다 다데 셀동 송주 송돼야 돼 셀와 셈지 천이 동바 셈지 정신 셀동 송주 절대 是송셔야 돼 나데 군시 교육의宽带 남숨 상화를 했어 이 정도 그래졌으려나 군시 교육의 코르웨 처탐제 체닉 주도 상 순전에 다다 교육실은 안돼 가서 올라변 내고 봤다 탐해변 내고 봤다 근데 이번 인도산에 대라 코르웨 처탐자로 뭔도 준이 여바 인도산에 체닉 주도 상스 다 람기 똑바디디 연대 주도 상스 따고 보는 거 아주 대박 지지 제시를 둬야 동료도에 실업 지지 제시를 둬야 나가는 신기지 다 있는 저 지수로도 돼야 중국에 문제는 되게 달고 시바디간에고 중루에도 와 시바디간에 용되기도 와 다다다네 전부씩 레이고로 갖고 요원주대 중도가 되는 인산에 남기 가서 남기 취업탐제 연된 수도 상 또서그 연대디디 중국 수도 상스 중국 이런 수도 상스 그래서 자 되는 인산에 근식 규규 관대 열매 송샤다 대간 레기도 와 자서 먼저 되셔야다 저 다的但是那什么但是大家的英文 sorry now too long no
So the Sakya tradition traces its the lineage of its instruction to the Indian master Virapa or Virvapa, and the key instruction of the Sakya school is known as the Lamdre cycle of teachings, path and its fruits, and path and its fruition teachings, Lamdre teachings, and these Lamdre cycle of teachings are principally based upon a cycle of Vajrayana text known as the He Vajra Tantra, and the key idea in that cycle of teachings is the notion of three types of continuum, and referred to as the three tantras. And one is the causal tantra, the basis of all, and then the causal tantra. The explanation of the causal tantra and the instruction based upon this is presented in the form of what are known as the three appearances, and also three tantras. The three appearances here correspond to the non-Vajrayana teachings. For example, the teachings deal with what are known as the perspectives of afflicted mental states, cleansing of the afflicted mental states, perspectives, the teachings corresponding to the cleansing of the impure perspectives or impure appearances, and then finally cultivation of the pure appearances. So these correspond roughly to the external teachings, such as the teachings of the disciple vehicle, the self-enlightened one's vehicle, and the bodhisattva vehicle. And however, the central focus of the teaching is really on understanding and cultivation of the qualities of this basic causal tantra, the Kunshi Kagyü. And so there is in the Sakya Lamdre teaching an explanation of a method of a practice where the three tantras are brought into some kind of mixture of fusion, and so this and the idea of the basic causal tantra is analogous to this idea of fundamental innate mind of clear light, which in the Dzogchen terminology is referred to as the basic awareness that is the Samantrabhadra, the primordial mind. And so, however, the instruction for bringing about a realization of that basic causal continuum is done through an experiential process in the Sakya school. For example, Sakya Pandita makes the statement that he says that in between the arising of different thought processes, the arising of a clear light mind, a radiant clear light mind, remains uninterrupted. So what he is saying is that, for example, if you observe the mind, your own thought processes one follow after another as if in a kind of a sequence, but in between the arising of one thought and the dissolving of that and arising of another, there are interval, regardless of how short they may be, but there are intervals between the transitions of different thought arising of thought processes, and so the practice involves trying to tease out those transitional periods so that one can recognize and these gaps in the arising of another thought and dissolution and arising of another thought. And so this is done through a cultivation of a particular meditation practice, which is found also in the Gelug and the Kagyü Mahamudra teachings as well, where one seeks to cultivate an ability to simply focus on the present moment of consciousness. So this involves deliberately refraining from chasing after any thoughts that look back retrospectively into some kind of memory or recollections and so on, nor chasing one's mind after some kind of future anticipatory experiences, some kind of future directed oriented thought processes. So one refrains from both looking backwards into the past nor into the future through anticipation and hopes and so on, but remains simply in the present moment. So initially, what one experiences is simply a kind of an absence or a gap, but through experience, as one learns to prolong that period of this absence, of the simply remaining focused in the present moment, at that time one comes to recognize the subtle thought processes. And this is, although not exactly the actual clear-light state of mind, but it is somewhat belonging or indicative of that basic clear-light mind. And for example, in the Dzogchen teachings, it is through this kind of practice one cultivates what is called a sense of wonderment, simply being aware of the present state and just remaining in that state with a total wonderment and a sense of wonder. And then from this sense of wonder, one leads to a real experience of Rigpa awareness. So this is what Dzapedul Rinpoche, for example, explains. So in the Sakya Lamdre cycle of teachings, although that kind of language is not used, but the basic idea is to really cultivate that present moment awareness with a sense of wonder, where one does not let one's mind follow after the temptation of looking into the past or into the future, but simply remaining in that present moment of consciousness. As one learns to remain simply focused on the present moment of consciousness, then one allows for the natural quality of the mind to express itself, and the natural quality of the mind is clear light. So this is the instruction that is found in the Sakya cycle of teachings. Now, of course, in the Dzogchen Great Perfection teachings, there is a recognition that even when the gross levels of thought processes are occurring, like when, for example, when a strong afflicted state of mind arises, even at that point, given that all of these mental processes are in some sense expressions of this basic Rigpa awareness, and they are referred to as effulgences or expressions or manifestations of Rigpa awareness. Therefore, even the most afflicted state of minds are permeated by the quality of a basic quality of awareness. So in Dzogchen Great Perfection instructions, there is a technique where while the afflicted state arises, one learns not to follow after the grasping and clinging that normally tends to arise with these afflicted mental states. So while when the afflicted mental state arises, one refrains from falling after the grasping tendency, but rather maintains one's focus simply on the bare awareness dimension of that experience, and through this way affect the actualization of the Rigpa awareness. So this is a unique method found in the Great Perfection teachings, whereas in the New Translation School teachings, the principal approach is to utilize various techniques to withdraw the grosser levels of mind and energy, and so that the subtler levels of consciousness and energy can become more manifest. Because when the sensory and the thought processes are active, then the subtler level of consciousness remains inactive, and through manipulation of the physiological forces such as the channels and the energy that flows within them and the drops and so on, one learns to withdraw both grosser level of consciousness and the energy, and then allow for the subtle levels of consciousness to arise. So that's the principal approach found in the New Translation School. So this is, in fact, one of the key approaches of the Sakya school of teaching, where it talks about the union of clarity and emptiness. And here, clarity refers to the clear light, and emptiness to the emptiness quality. So in this, it says that the clarity is the defining characteristic of the nature of mind, and emptiness is the ultimate reality of mind. And through the union of the two, one attains the realization. And also this kind of practice teaching is also referred to as the indivisibility of nirvana and samsara, because in this basic causal continuum, Kagyü, all the attributes of both samsara and nirvana are present. All the attributes of samsara, the cyclic existence, are present in the form of actual characteristics that we experience, and all the attributes of the path are present in the form of qualities of the mind, and all the attributes of the result are contained in the form of potentials. So therefore, this Kagyü, the basic causal tantra or continuum, is understood to be a form of an indivisibility of both enlightenment and unenlightened state.
Okay. So perhaps some question. Already here?
Your Holiness, these questions were submitted through the internet.
Yes.
And Professor Cabazon handed them to me. The first question is, in my reading of some of His Holiness's books, I have sometimes seen the subtlemost nature of mind characterized as neutral. But in other instances, it seems as though His Holiness says that we have an innate predisposition for goodness, for love, for compassion, and for enlightenment. So this would seem to imply that the fundamental nature of mind is positive or virtuous, but not neutral. Can Your Holiness please explain?
In generally, of course, we are not talking about ultimate reality or subtle mind. As far as subtle mind is concerned, this moment is just a word. So our basic sort of human nature, the way, I think in afternoon session, I think I may explain something.
Okay.
So those people who will not come
This afternoon,
the next session, then you can ask someone who attends.
Second question, Your Holiness. Is there some reason to prefer meditation on the nature of mind to meditation on anything else? For example, meditation on the nature of self or other phenomena?
Kasta, simgal.
Simply,
That's mainly to refer in tantric teaching, tantric practice. The reason is as I mentioned at the beginning, ultimately, things depend on our motivation. Motivation is part of mind. So therefore, 심리기는 심전직내당 뇌지직내시는 나도 그 로마를 내래 깨어서 선만을 내게 개만인스.
So, for example, in one Buddhist text, Chandrakirti, 7th century, he says that it is the mind that creates the world that we live in, and it is the mind that creates the actions that lead to that creation. And therefore, in this way, we understand the karmic action to be the causal agent for creation.
다안다 되게 세동 숭주사 릭동 열매 대동 열매 사게지도아 디 춘이 버치버리디 다 바나 세동 숭주사 릭동 열매 세사게 동니디 무슨 분배된 그 동니다 가서 번 유구된 동이다. 동이 임배 뭐는 찍버려야지. 이네 최전 싸워다 뭐예매도 들어왔으니까 그런 게 신이 상당 걸로. 안더디 랑게 랑신디 랑게 다 가서 우리 보게 또배 주지 못 되지. 자, 근데 인도산에 심지 춘이 가는 상담마다 믿어 봐. 릭동이면 상담 오마티. 자, 근데 이 인도산에 베나도 사운드 아리안데에 림면 나한테 송야래. 심지 춘이 도와야 돼. 시우지 개치 뭐 이마지. 콘데 싸워들에서 송야. 어디 나한테 시고. 다 누르는 샤베이나. 제다베나 다게 최전게 내기. 다 전부 또 나와 예배 차네. 토마 가사가 담에고. 내내 최지 담에 공사 지점 송야래.
So, therefore, we have been for example, we have been talking about the union of clarity and emptiness, union of Rigpa awareness and emptiness, a union of bliss and emptiness. So all of these are really perspectives coming from the Vajrayana teachings. And therefore, in Vajrayana teaching, the meditation on emptiness, on the mind itself, the nature of mind itself, becomes very important. Because although one can take the emptiness of, say, an external object like a sprout and meditate upon it, but the distinction here is that when one takes the mind to be the basis upon which one meditates on emptiness, then one is actually reflecting upon the nature of one's own mind, the ultimate nature of one's own mind. And all of this is really from the perspective of Vajrayana teaching. For example, in one of Aryadeva's texts on Tantra, he explains the significance of taking a mind, the nature of mind, as the focus of one's practice in the Vajrayana context. However, in a non-Vajrayana context, such as the perfection of wisdom teachings, then generally it is said that between the emptiness of the person and emptiness of phenomena, one generally takes the emptiness of person to be the initial focus, because it is easier to understand emptiness by taking one's own personal identity or person to be the basis of meditating upon emptiness.
But one sort of the Sanskrit word usually we recite, that is Om Shunada Jnana Banza Sumbawa Emakohang. These Sumbawa say Rangshi Saishtoa. Or that the Kangumju Nelu de Chishen Korang Rangshimba.
So, in this mantra that is part of the Vajrayana sadhana practice, there's the word Svabhava, which means nature. And Svabhava, in this particular context, indicates meditating upon the Svabhava of the mind itself, the very mind which is meditating upon its own nature.
그래서 숨바와 슈도 싸와다마 숨바와 슈도 항세하게 숨바와 써야 되다. 슈는데 자나면서 숨바와 써야 가가리 된다 가가리도.
So, so the svabhava in these two different contexts are different. One is svabhava of the nature of all phenomena, whereas in another context, svabhava or nature refers to the nature of the mind meditating upon itself.
Yeah. Next.
I'm wondering if you think it is a lot more difficult for Americans to focus their minds and to be able to reach enlightenment.
그래서 아무래도
that similar that sim nail to pubje sim that focus che the kang che metros arijo and things are the kanda to be le kang che metros chikche. We are a culture that thrives on stimulation, excitement, pleasure, and doing everything very quickly. I think that meditation and centering oneself is extremely difficult in American society. Do you think it would be easier for Americans if we lived in a country with a slower pace, where people took more time being present in their daily life?
Basically, I don't think there's much differences, whether Eastern or Western. I don't think much differences. In fact, some of my American friends who spend years of meditation, said their result quite amazing. So these are American, not Tibetan. so that shows basically same human mind. As the external influence, important, but ultimately, the nature of mind itself is more important. So we everyone have sort of same potential, and I think same mental quality. I think like that. That's how I feel. But then someone, I think this questioner, if you're really serious, then thorough investigation, interview more people, then maybe you get more clearer picture. I don't think it's much differences.
Final question.
I think 2-3 questions.
Okay. Why did you say Buddhism is like a science of the mind?
That word not originally come from me, but some Western scholar, describe. Buddhism is not a religion, but rather a science of mind. So ask them. Yes.
How do you feel about the use of LSD and other psychedelic drugs to attain higher states of consciousness or spirituality?
Of course, firstly, I have no such experience. Then according to those people who have some experience, then it seems
But from what I've heard from people who have had the actual first-hand experience, it seems that the experience of using these kind of psychedelic drugs tend to bring a greater profusion of illusion. And since we already have a lot of illusory experiences to begin with, so why do we need additional illusory experiences?
Then next. I think in serious practice is concerned, I think should not rely on external substances. Just simply try to
Cultivate the mind.
cultivate
The mind, yeah.
the nature quality of mind. That's much better.
In your 50 years of exile, you have faced down many hardships and never wavering in your commitment to your people and the fight for social justice. What advice do you have for young people on how to achieve success while staying true to one's moral principles?
Oh, afternoon.
So most of the questions are more general.
Now stop.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.